In the 15th century, the lands along the lower Danube presented a geography defined as much by human tension as by river and earth. The waters marked more than a boundary. They represented a perpetual meeting point between worlds whose rhythms, ambitions, and expectations differed sharply. To the south, the Ottoman Empire surged into its era of confident expansion, refining its military, administration, and frontier systems. To the northwest, the Kingdom of Hungary consolidated its authority, seeking to preserve a buffer between itself and the rising power beyond the Danube. Positioned between these spheres of influence was Wallachia, a principality without the luxury of isolation, forced to navigate pressures from both sides while maintaining internal equilibrium. For Wallachia's rulers, the Danube was neither shield nor sanctuary. It could slow an army, but never stop one. It could define a frontier, but not guarantee its safety. This landscape demanded agility from any prince who hoped to maintain sovereignty. Campaign seasons, diplomatic negotiations, shifting allegiances among noble families, and changes in the priorities of neighboring powers all transformed the Danubian frontier into a stage of unending recalibration. The political geography of southeastern Europe at this time was dynamic, with borders understood not as fixed lines, but as zones of influence that ebbed and flowed according to military success, economic strength, and dynastic fortune. Wallachia occupied one of these uncertain spaces, a principality expected to contribute troops, taxes, or loyalty, depending on who could assert control most convincingly at any given moment. Its rulers, therefore, operated within a framework defined by negotiation, coercion, and the careful assessment of risk. Into this world, Vlad III was born around 1431. While the specifics of his birthplace remain debated, the town of Sighișoara is the most frequently cited setting, an urban center shaped by trade routes and ethnic diversity. The environment would have been alive with the movement of merchants, artisans, and travelers whose experiences exposed the region's youth to the wider currents of Europe and the Near East. For a princely child of the Drăculești branch of the Basarab dynasty, the town was more than a backdrop. It was an early lesson in the interconnectedness of political, economic, and cultural forces. Life in Sighișoara or any similar trade center presented contrasting impressions. Relative prosperity set against the latent threat of external conflict. The workshops and guilds thrived, caravans passed through carrying goods from distant regions, and diplomatic messengers from nearby courts arrived with news of shifting alliances. Yet on the horizon, the power struggles of princes, regents, and sultans remained visible, impacting the lives of even the most remote communities. Vlad III's father, Vlad II Drăculea, would become voivode of Wallachia. And with this position came burdens not easily translated into the general imagery of medieval rule. Leadership in Wallachia required not only administrative judgment and personal authority, but also strategic intuition and a capacity to operate in an environment dominated by contradiction. As a member of the Order of the Dragon, Vlad II received recognition for his military and political service, amplifying his reputation while simultaneously complicating his relationship with both internal and external actors. For young Vlad, the atmosphere within the Wallachian court would have supplied early exposure to competing expectations. On one hand, court officials, boyars, and military retainers cultivated customs emphasizing lineage, honor, and the responsibilities of rulership. On the other, the persistent tension between factions forced any aspiring leader to understand court life as a domain where loyalty could be sincere yet fragile, and where even long-standing alliances shifted in response to new threats or advantages. The presence of the boyars, the large landowning elite, formed a central pillar of Wallachian governance. Their cooperation could elevate a voivode, but their dissent could as easily erode his authority. For a boy raised in such an environment, the interplay between princely power and noble autonomy was impossible to ignore. It was here that Vlad learned the importance of perception, how his family's strength was measured not in symbolic prestige alone, but in its ability to manage, persuade, or restrain those whose ambitions intersected with the throne. Records from this period emphasize the fluid nature of Wallachian politics. Alliances were influenced by external pressures, Ottoman campaigns, Hungarian diplomacy, or Moldavian intervention. But internal considerations remained equally significant. Families sought to advance their status through strategic marriages, military contributions, or calculated political maneuvers. Such behavior was not unique to Wallachia, yet its impact was amplified due to the principality's precarious position between greater powers. Geography further shaped these dynamics. Wallachia's rivers, plains, and foothills provided fertile land for agriculture and trade. But the openness of the terrain made it susceptible to rapid military incursions. Armies could cross the Danube with sufficient preparation or exploit periods of political instability to advance their objectives. A Wallachian voivode, therefore, had to remain attuned to the possibility of sudden threats, reinforcing the need for decisive leadership. Meanwhile, the neighboring Principality of Moldavia experienced its own cycles of crisis and consolidation, affecting Wallachia both directly and indirectly. Dynastic ties and rivalries between the two states created opportunities for alliances, but also sowed the potential for conflict. Beyond these principalities lay Transylvania, under Hungarian influence, which further complicated the regional landscape due to its economic strength and strategic significance in the Carpathian Basin. For a young prince observing these forces, the lesson was clear. Wallachia's stability depended on maintaining a delicate equilibrium among multiple stakeholders. The Ottoman Empire's expanding frontier cast a long shadow across these regions. The Ottomans possessed not only a rapidly growing territorial base, but also a sophisticated administrative framework designed to integrate conquered lands effectively. Their military campaigns combined mobility, discipline, and logistical planning, enabling them to assert influence far beyond their core territories. Wallachia's proximity to this system meant that its leadership could not afford to dismiss the implications of Ottoman power. Trade between the Ottoman world and the Balkans introduced additional complexity. Merchants brought wealth and opportunity, but they also carried information and expectations of political cooperation. Tribute payments, vassal obligations, and frontier agreements placed Wallachian rulers in a difficult position. To resist Ottoman demands risked invasion. To comply too readily invited domestic criticism or Hungarian retaliation. Thus, Wallachia existed in a permanent state of strategic tension. For Vlad III, these early experiences likely contributed to a worldview shaped by the realization that survival required both flexibility and resolve. He grew up in an environment where princely authority was neither absolute nor secure, where rulers were judged by their capacity to navigate turmoil, and where the legacy of leadership extended far beyond personal ambition. The need to anticipate external developments and internal disruptions became an essential skill, one he would rely upon repeatedly throughout his life. The identity of Wallachia itself was also an active influence on Vlad's development. It was a principality rooted in Latin, Slavic, and Byzantine traditions, shaped by competing cultural and political currents. Its people spoke multiple languages, observed varied customs, and engaged in networks of commerce that connected them to both Central Europe and the Near East. This diversity demanded rulers who understood nuance and who could engage with multiple cultural frameworks simultaneously. Trade routes running through Wallachia connected the principality to markets and courts across Europe. Caravans brought textiles, metals, grain, salt, and other goods, creating opportunities for taxation and wealth generation. Yet these routes also served as channels for political influence, introducing ideas, alliances, and expectations that could alter the balance of power. A young prince observing this traffic would have encountered merchants speaking of distant rulers, military developments, and shifting alliances, information that enriched his understanding of the world. Historians examining this period emphasize that Wallachia's autonomy was often challenged, but rarely straightforwardly suppressed. The principality's rulers exercised agency even under pressure, negotiating tributary agreements or military cooperation in ways that preserved a degree of independence. Understanding this agency is essential to interpreting Vlad's later actions, which were neither impulsive nor detached from the political realities of his time. Instead, they reflected the pressures, expectations, and survival strategies cultivated in this environment. Fortifications across Wallachia were not designed to repel large imperial forces indefinitely, but they served as important symbols and practical tools of regional control. These structures, citadels, fortified towns, and river defenses, reinforced the presence of princely authority. For Vlad III, whose later reign would emphasize administrative order, these early encounters with fortified governance likely informed his appreciation for strong, centralized control. The Danube itself, central to the region's identity, influenced politics on a daily basis. Its currents carried goods, envoys, and soldiers. Its crossings became focal points of diplomacy and conflict. The river's seasonal changes affected military campaigns, making timing a crucial factor in both attack and defense. Any heir to the Wallachian throne would have been expected to understand not only the political significance of the Danube, but also its tactical implications. By the time Vlad reached adolescence, the political climate had grown increasingly strained. Ottoman advances into the Balkans created urgency in neighboring courts, prompting new strategies, alliances, and rivalries. Hungary sought to reinforce its southern defenses, while the Ottomans aimed to secure their northern flank. Wallachia, situated in the middle, absorbed the pressures from both. It was in this environment, shaped by dual expectations and inherent contradictions, that Vlad's formative years unfolded. The world that shaped Vlad III was not static. It was a world in motion, politically, economically, militarily, and culturally. Wallachia's role as a principality caught between empires required rulers who could navigate this environment with awareness and precision. As Vlad matured, the lessons he absorbed from his surroundings would become central to his political identity. The need to balance loyalty with independence, to anticipate threats before they materialized, and to act decisively when circumstances demanded it. Thus, the frontier shaped not only the geopolitical fate of Wallachia, but also the future voivode, whose life would become inseparable from the tensions of his birthplace. By the time Vlad III emerged onto the broader stage of regional politics, he carried with him the imprint of a land defined by its precarious position at the intersection of larger powers. The frontier did not simply form the backdrop of his story. It structured his worldview, forged his responses, and provided the conditions that would define his rise. By the late 1440s, the political landscape of Wallachia had entered a period of acute tension. Vlad II Drăculea's position as voivode was increasingly precarious, beset by both internal factions among the boyars and the ever-present pressures from Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. For the young Vlad III, these years constituted a crucible. The environment demanded observation, comprehension, and an early grasp of the harsh realities of power. Every conversation, every assembly of nobles, and every movement of troops carried lessons in governance, diplomacy, and survival. Vlad's formative experiences were shaped by a duality: the domestic world of court politics and the international stage of regional conflict. Within the court, alliances and rivalries unfolded like living chess games. The boyars were both advisors and threats, their loyalty conditional on favors, marriages, and opportunity. Observing his father negotiate between these competing interests, Vlad learned that authority rested not on birthright alone, but on a combination of strategy, vigilance, and sometimes ruthless decision-making. Beyond the walls of the court, the Danube's presence underscored the ever-present danger of external aggression. Ottoman raiders and Hungarian forces operated with differing motives but similar effectiveness, reminding Wallachia's leadership that power was contingent on both defense and diplomacy. Vlad's exposure to the coordination of these campaigns, the movement of supplies, and the negotiation of frontier settlements provided practical instruction in the logistics and psychology of warfare. During these years, Wallachia's relationships with its neighbors shifted rapidly. Moldavia, under Prince Petru III, occasionally offered support to the Drăculești faction. Yet, alliances were fragile, contingent on immediate interests rather than enduring loyalty. Hungary's influence persisted through military intervention and courtly pressure, compelling Wallachian rulers to act in ways that aligned with Hungarian strategic priorities, even when such actions conflicted with domestic considerations. Meanwhile, the Ottomans demanded tribute and demonstrated the reach of their military authority, reminding Wallachia that survival necessitated calculated submission at times and defiance at others. The political lessons were not abstract. Vlad III witnessed firsthand the consequences of indecision and misjudgment. The execution or exile of rival boyars, shifts in alliances, and the occasional violent intervention by external powers all provided stark examples of the costs of failed governance. It became clear that Wallachia's rulers operated under a principle that blended pragmatism with necessity. Survival required decisiveness, and decisiveness often demanded severity. Ottoman influence was particularly instructive. The empire's methodical approach to expansion, combining military, administrative, and economic measures, revealed to Vlad that power was as much about organization as it was about force. Tribute payments and hostages, while politically humiliating, also offered lessons in strategic acquiescence. The temporary surrender of autonomy could preserve the principality for future assertion, a principle Vlad would later apply in nuanced and sometimes brutal ways. Education in this environment extended beyond political maneuvering. Vlad was likely tutored in literacy, military strategy, and religious instruction, reflecting the expectations for a prince prepared to inherit the complexities of Wallachia's leadership. Knowledge of Latin, Old Church Slavonic, and perhaps Turkish or Hungarian would have been invaluable for diplomatic correspondence, treaty negotiations, and the interpretation of intelligence gathered from merchants and envoys. Physical training complemented intellectual instruction. Proficiency in arms, horsemanship, and the strategies of both siegecraft and open battle were central to princely preparation. In a principality where military action could determine political survival, such skills were indispensable. Vlad's development as a warrior prince aligned with the broader expectation that a voivode must embody both martial capability and administrative acumen. The boyars, ever influential, also served as a test of Vlad's emerging judgment. Observing their interactions revealed the social codes governing honor, influence, and leverage within the court. Each negotiation, slight or public display of favor or disfavor, contributed to Vlad's understanding of the power dynamics that underpinned the political structure of Wallachia. These early lessons in human behavior and strategic calculation would later inform the methods he employed to consolidate authority. The environment beyond the court reinforced the lessons of vigilance. Wallachia's forests, hills, and plains were not merely picturesque. They were strategic theaters. Raiders could appear without warning, allies could be ambushed, terrain could shape the outcome of any confrontation. Understanding the land, its opportunities, and its dangers became an integral component of Vlad's education, combining geography with strategy in ways that extended beyond mere battlefield tactics. Economic insight was equally critical. Tribute, taxation, and control over trade routes were not abstract concepts, but essential instruments of statecraft. Vlad III would have observed the careful balance between extracting resources to support governance and avoiding excessive burdens that could provoke rebellion. The administration of Wallachia's wealth demanded an awareness of both immediate needs and long-term stability, an understanding that Vlad internalized before assuming full authority. Religion shaped identity and legitimacy. The Orthodox Church, central to Wallachian society, offered moral guidance, social cohesion, and a framework for governance. Participation in religious rites and the demonstration of piety reinforced princely authority, both internally and to neighboring powers. Vlad's exposure to ecclesiastical structures provided lessons in symbolism, ritual, and the importance of projecting moral legitimacy alongside temporal power. Strategic positioning was a constant concern. Control of passes, river crossings, and fortifications determined the effectiveness of both defensive and offensive operations. Observing campaigns in neighboring regions, Vlad absorbed lessons in troop deployment, fortification maintenance, and the timing of maneuvers. These insights would later influence his methods of territorial control and his approach to enforcing order through both strategy and fear. Diplomatic acumen emerged from repeated observation of negotiation under pressure. Treaties, hostage exchanges, and frontier agreements required precision and clarity, as any misstep could trigger military reprisals. Vlad's apprenticeship in these skills was a product of circumstance as much as design, reflecting a political culture in which survival depended on foresight, adaptability, and the capacity to project strength even in moments of vulnerability. By adolescence, Vlad had internalized a principle that would define much of his later rule. Authority must be reinforced by both capability and perception. Strength without legitimacy risked revolt. Legitimacy without strength invited exploitation. The interplay between fear and respect, coercion and consent, was central to the political pedagogy of Wallachia. Every observation, every minor decision, and every interaction contributed to the foundation upon which Vlad would build his voivodeship. The lessons extended into broader regional awareness. Conflicts in Moldavia, incursions from Hungarian forces, and the expansion of Ottoman influence shaped the strategic calculus required for leadership. Vlad learned that Wallachia's security relied not solely on domestic management, but on careful attention to external actors whose ambitions could instantly alter the principality's prospects. Nature itself reinforced the importance of vigilance. Seasonal changes in weather, river levels, and terrain dictated the timing and conduct of campaigns. Understanding the environment was inseparable from understanding human action. Wallachia's leaders, therefore, combined military, political, and environmental knowledge to make decisions that would determine the survival of both ruler and state. The reality of potential conflict underscored another truth. Ruthlessness could be a necessary instrument of leadership. Observation of both foreign campaigns and internal discipline showed that failure to act decisively could result in immediate loss of authority or life. Vlad's awareness of these dynamics laid the groundwork for a rule that would, in later years, prioritize the enforcement of order above all else. Cultural awareness further informed leadership. Exposure to diverse ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups in trade towns, frontier posts, and courts highlighted the necessity of understanding multiple perspectives. Diplomacy, military strategy, and administration all required an ability to navigate complexity and ambiguity. Skills that Vlad absorbed through both instruction and first-hand observation. By the time Vlad approached maturity, his education, formal and experiential, had produced a young man attuned to the necessities of power. The combination of intellectual preparation, martial training, political observation, and environmental awareness equipped him with tools for leadership in a principality perpetually at the mercy of internal and external pressures. He had witnessed the consequences of indecision, the benefits of strategic ruthlessness, and the demands of survival in a volatile geopolitical context. Thus, the foundations of Vlad III's voivodeship were established not in theory alone, but in the intense reality of a principality balancing between empires, factions, and the unpredictable currents of fortune. The prince who would become infamous for his methods and remembered for his complexity was forged in the twin crucibles of observation and experience. Learning to combine strategic calculation with an unwavering attention to the realities of human behavior and political necessity. By 1448, Vlad III, now roughly 17, faced the precarious challenge of assuming authority over a principality long beset by external pressures and internal division. His first attempt to claim the throne was brief, a matter of weeks. Yet it marked a critical juncture in his development as a ruler. Entering Wallachia with Ottoman backing, Vlad found himself in a land fractured by boyar rivalries, weakened militarily, and unsure of the legitimacy of a young prince educated abroad. The Danube, the ever-present conduit of both opportunity and threat, framed the challenge he now confronted. Vlad quickly recognized that authority without enforcement was meaningless. The boyars, accustomed to shifting loyalties, regarded the young prince with suspicion. Some had conspired in the murder of his father, Vlad II Drăculea, or in the overthrow of his elder brother, Mircea. Others had opportunistically supported Vladislav II, whose claim to the throne enjoyed temporary legitimacy through Hungarian backing. Vlad's first task was to assert control over a fractious nobility whose allegiance was contingent, pliable, and often lethal. His approach was methodical. He convened the leading boyars in Târgoviște, ostensibly to offer reconciliation and the restoration of civil order. Yet beneath the veneer of diplomacy lay the cold logic of retribution and deterrence. Vlad questioned the nobles regarding their conduct during the previous upheavals, testing their responses for honesty, hesitation, and fear. Each answer, or lack thereof, provided insight into the networks of loyalty and betrayal that permeated the principality. For those boyars deemed less culpable or salvageable, Vlad assigned labor-intensive service, rebuilding fortresses, strengthening defenses, and performing work intended to demonstrate both obedience and utility. The young prince's understanding of infrastructure was already intertwined with political strategy. Poenari Castle, a formidable citadel on a steep hill above the Argeș River, would serve as a personal sanctuary, a military stronghold, and a symbol of princely authority. By controlling such sites, Vlad sought to anchor power in both geography and fear. For those boyars whose treachery was beyond mitigation, the punishment was immediate and decisive. Impalement, a method already whispered about in neighboring regions, was employed not merely as retribution, but as a calculated demonstration of power. Public executions communicated to the population and the nobility alike that authority rested in the prince's hands, and that betrayal carried a consequence both swift and unforgettable. Vlad understood that the perception of strength could stabilize a principality as effectively as alliances or military victories. Concurrently, Vlad reformed the principality's military structures. Wallachia had relied heavily on boyar-led contingents, each loyal first to familial interest and only secondarily to the voivode. Vlad, recalling lessons from exile and captivity, prioritized loyalty, training, and discipline. Retainers raised during his years abroad were integrated into the forces alongside conscripted peasants. Military readiness was no longer reactive. It became proactive, anticipating both Ottoman incursions and internal rebellions. The Danube remained the strategic lifeline and threat. Watchmen, fortified outposts, and river patrols ensured that crossings were monitored. Vlad sought to control not only military assets, but the flow of information and trade, understanding that economic and logistical superiority could reinforce political stability. Wallachia, though small, could become strategically formidable when leveraged against superior numbers through knowledge, preparation, and ruthless efficiency. Vlad's governance extended to economic regulation and judicial oversight. Corruption, long endemic under boyar administration, was systematically eradicated. Merchants, artisans, and peasants witnessed a new order. Taxes collected directly under princely authority, punishments for theft and fraud carried out visibly, and the principle that law could be enforced uniformly, without exception, became central. This combination of fear and fairness reinforced the psychological dimension of authority, making disobedience not merely dangerous, but unthinkable. Tensions with the Ottoman Empire escalated swiftly. Envoys arrived demanding tribute, military support, and submission to the Sultan's authority. Vlad's response was unambiguous. Wallachia would no longer acquiesce to foreign demands without negotiation and leverage. The balance of diplomacy and aggression became a hallmark of his strategy. By refusing to pay tribute, he not only asserted independence, but forced the empire to acknowledge Wallachia as a principality capable of resistance. This period culminated in a daring winter campaign along the southern Danube. Vlad's forces infiltrated Ottoman-controlled territories, targeting supply lines, settlements, and military outposts. The raids were swift, targeted, and psychologically devastating. Civilians loyal to the empire were often removed or destroyed. Resources were captured or destroyed. The Ottoman presence was destabilized. Vlad understood that warfare was as much about morale and perception as about tactical engagements. In early 1462, the night attack at Targovište epitomized Vlad's approach to military strategy. Under cover of darkness, his forces infiltrated the Ottoman camp with the intent to kill Mehmed II. The attack combined deception, speed, and audacity, leveraging terrain, nightfall, and local intelligence. Though ultimately unsuccessful in killing the Sultan, the operation demonstrated Vlad's ability to combine strategic planning with psychological warfare, leaving a lasting impression on both allies and adversaries. Vlad's use of impalement reached its zenith in the Forest of Stakes, a psychological and tactical maneuver designed to deter further Ottoman advance. Thousands of impaled soldiers, captured in prior skirmishes, lined the approach to Targovište, forming both a literal and symbolic barrier. Mehmed II, confronted with the spectacle, hesitated. Supply lines faltered, morale collapsed. Vlad's combination of psychological intimidation and scorched earth tactics ensured that Wallachia remained unconquered, despite being vastly outnumbered. However, these measures came at a cost. Villages burned to deny resources to the enemy, fields left fallow, and livestock seized or destroyed resulted in famine and hardship for Wallachian peasants. Support for Vlad, while present, was tinged with fear. The prince's reputation as a ruthless enforcer grew, not only in the Ottoman world, but within his own borders. These actions solidified his power temporarily, yet sowed the seeds of internal discontent that would later challenge his authority. Political dynamics shifted rapidly. The Ottomans leveraged boyars dissatisfied with Vlad's severity, and his younger brother, Radu cel Frumos, became a focal point of their influence. Offering clemency, economic incentives, and political accommodation, Radu gradually eroded Vlad's domestic support. By late 1462, Vlad's strategic advantage diminished. Isolated and pursued, he fled Wallachia, seeking refuge across the Carpathians in Hungarian territory. Hungary, under King Matthias Corvinus, initially appeared a potential ally. Yet political realities and fear of Ottoman reprisal prompted the king to imprison Vlad, accusing him of treason and complicity with the Sultan. For the once dominant voivode, the transition from triumphant commander to captive prince represented a profound reversal, illustrating the precariousness of princely authority and the unforgiving nature of Central and Eastern European politics. Vlad's years of imprisonment were marked by monotony, surveillance, and occasional privileges granted based on political expediency. The isolation sharpened his understanding of human behavior, patience, and the long arc of strategic planning. Stories of cruelty towards small animals, possibly exaggerated, reinforced his fearsome reputation. Yet they also reflected a mind preoccupied with control, discipline, and the assertion of authority, even in confinement. During Vlad's captivity, Wallachia underwent intermittent stability under Radu, whose approach relied on diplomacy and compliance rather than terror. While the Ottomans secured a compliant ruler, the underlying instability of boyar loyalties and ongoing Ottoman pressure created enduring vulnerabilities. Vlad, though absent, remained a focal point for opposition factions, exiles, and anti-Ottoman interests, illustrating how reputation, myth, and strategic significance can transcend immediate presence. By the 1470s, Vlad's eventual release from imprisonment reflected shifting Hungarian priorities and the recognition of his utility as a frontier commander. A strategic marriage to Ilona Szilágyi reinforced political bonds, while his renewed military involvement and consolidation of loyal followers enabled a calculated return to Wallachia. Vlad's experiences in exile and captivity had honed his skills, sharpened his resolve, and prepared him for the final phases of his life as voivode. Chapter 3 concludes with Vlad poised at the threshold of reclamation. His first reign, exile, and imprisonment had refined his understanding of the fragility and necessity of power. The experiences of betrayal, territorial control, military innovation, and psychological warfare coalesced into the tools he would employ for the final consolidation of authority, setting the stage for his third and final reign, where his strategic acumen and ruthlessness would be tested against both foreign empires and domestic opposition. By 1475, the political landscape of Wallachia, Hungary, and the surrounding Ottoman frontier was a turbulent chessboard, one on which allegiances shifted like wind over the mountains. Vlad III, recently released from Hungarian captivity, prepared to reclaim his rightful throne. Years of exile and imprisonment had honed his instincts, sharpened his ruthlessness, and deepened his understanding of the fragile loyalties that governed Eastern European politics. He moved deliberately, gathering support from exiled Wallachian boyars, loyalists nurtured during his confinement, and mercenary troops provided by Hungary under King Matthias Corvinus. His forces were modest, yet strategically positioned. Vlad knew that sheer numbers could not win a contest against Ottoman-backed opponents or rival claimants. Precision, timing, and intimidation were essential. Villages along the southern Carpathian passes declared loyalty in anticipation of his return, swayed by hope for stability and revenge against boyars who had collaborated with previous rulers. In assembling his forces, Vlad carefully vetted every officer, every unit, ensuring loyalty rooted not only in ambition but in fear of his judgment. Vlad's return campaign relied heavily on his intimate knowledge of Wallachia's geography, gained during his childhood, exile, and earlier campaigns. Mountain passes, marshlands, dense forests, and river crossings were all meticulously analyzed. Supply routes for both his own troops and potential adversaries were studied, and ambush points, fallback positions, and fortified refuges were marked. The principle was clear. To conquer Wallachia was not merely to defeat its current ruler. It was to command the terrain itself. In the summer of 1475, Vlad crossed the Carpathians with a mixture of Wallachian exiles and Hungarian mercenaries. His approach was deliberate, combining military precision with psychological tactics. Proclamations were issued, asserting his hereditary claim, promising law and order, and offering amnesty to those willing to pledge loyalty. Yet beneath these overtures lay an implicit threat. Disobedience would be met with ruthlessness as calculated as any military maneuver. Vlad understood that perception and reputation were as critical as battlefield victories. The boyars, long accustomed to opportunistic alliances, reacted with caution. Many remained loyal to Basarab Laiota, the Ottoman-backed ruler, fearing both Vlad's severity and the power of his returning forces. Others, wearied by the excesses of previous administrations and swayed by promises of stability, declared allegiance to Vlad. In this delicate balance, every gesture, every visit to a village or council was a test of loyalty, courage, and the willingness of Wallachia's elite to recognize a ruler who would brook no disloyalty. Upon entering Târgoviște, Vlad did not celebrate triumphantly. He understood that authority could not be assumed. It had to be enforced and maintained. The capital, still scarred from prior campaigns, bore witness to both devastation and opportunity. Key nobles were summoned for council, ostensibly to participate in governance. Behind the facade of diplomacy, Vlad's questions were probing, his gaze assessing each gesture and hesitation. Those who showed signs of defiance were discreetly noted. Those who aligned with him were strategically positioned within the new administration. Vlad's attention quickly turned to fortifications. Poenary Castle, previously a project begun in his earlier reign, became a centerpiece of defensive strategy. Situated on precipitous cliffs above the Argeș River, it combined natural advantages with human engineering. The fortress symbolized both authority and deterrence, a reminder that the prince could control terrain and enforce justice at a distance. Work crews labored relentlessly, and soldiers drilled under the scrutiny of Vlad himself, reinforcing discipline and demonstrating the uncompromising expectations of service under his rule. Administrative reforms accompanied military consolidation. Vlad restructured tax collection, eliminated corrupt intermediaries, and strengthened direct oversight of local governance. Village leaders were made accountable to the prince, rather than to boyar factions. Legal codes were strictly enforced, emphasizing both punishment and the perception of fairness, Stealing, banditry, and corruption were met with severe, visible consequences. A golden cup left at a public fountain, legend says untouched for years, symbolized the efficacy of this regime. Fear and law intertwined to maintain order. External threats demanded equal attention. The Danube, once a channel for Ottoman influence, became a line of vigilance. Watchmen were posted along crossings, supply routes were monitored, and rapid response forces were stationed at strategic locations. Vlad's experience with Ottoman campaigns informed these preparations. Intelligence gathering became routine, including the use of scouts, informants, and observation posts. Every potential avenue of invasion or subversion was analyzed, with contingencies prepared in advance. Inevitably, the Ottoman Empire tested Vlad's authority. Envoys arrived demanding tribute, military cooperation, and political submission. Vlad's response was measured yet unyielding. He refused to bow, asserting Wallachian independence through both words and action. Protocol violations, such as refusing to remove turbans before the prince, were met with punishments intended to reinforce hierarchy and signal defiance. Vlad's understanding of psychological power was evident. Authority was a combination of physical control, legal enforcement, and the ability to intimidate without the immediate use of force. Vlad's military campaigns extended beyond defensive measures. Winter raids across the Danube targeted Ottoman settlements, supply depots, and garrisons. Vlad understood that disrupting enemy logistics could yield strategic advantage far beyond the battlefield. Troops moved silently, striking with speed and precision, seizing livestock, burning stores, and leaving terror in their wake. Civilians loyal to the Ottomans were often treated harshly, reinforcing the message that disloyalty carried both political and personal consequences. The night attack at Drăculești remained the pinnacle of Vlad's tactical ingenuity. His objective, to infiltrate the Ottoman camp and target Mehmed II directly, required meticulous planning, coordination, and discipline. Soldiers disguised in Ottoman attire moved silently under cover of darkness. The attack combined audacity with psychological manipulation, creating confusion and panic within the camp. Though the Sultan survived, the operation demonstrated Vlad's capacity for strategic foresight, operational precision, and psychological warfare, earning him notoriety across Europe and the Ottoman Empire. Vlad's signature use of impalement reached its most extreme during this period. Tens of thousands of Ottoman prisoners were executed and displayed along the approaches to Drăculești. The forest of stakes, a gruesome tableau, served not only as retribution but as deterrence. Mehmed II reportedly hesitated, witnessing the scale of Vlad's punishment. Disease, starvation, and fear compounded the effect, forcing a retreat without direct confrontation. Vlad's ability to combine environmental strategy, terror, and tactical harassment demonstrated an advanced understanding of asymmetric warfare. These strategies were not without cost. Villages burned during scorched earth campaigns, fields left fallow, and livestock destroyed or seized created famine and suffering. Peasants bore the brunt of military strategy, illustrating the ethical ambiguity of Vlad's rule. Support for the prince remained, yet often coexisted with fear and resentment. Vlad's philosophy was clear. The survival of the principality justified extreme measures. Loyalty and order were maintained through a combination of fear, efficiency, and the perception of inevitability. Domestically, Vlad consolidated power by neutralizing disloyal boyars. Those who survived previous purges were carefully monitored and strategically placed. Administrative, military, and fiscal reforms reinforced central authority. reducing dependence on potentially treacherous nobles. Vlad's governance combined visible authority with the knowledge that perception alone could influence behavior. Discipline, both feared and respected, became the foundation of stability. Diplomatically, Vlad navigated a complex landscape. Hungary provided cautious support, balancing fear of Ottoman reprisal with interest in securing a strong Wallachian ally. Moldavia, under Stephen the Great, offered conditional assistance. Vlad's experience in exile and captivity had refined his understanding of interstate diplomacy. Alliances were tools to be leveraged, not sources of loyalty. The prince remained unyielding in principle, while pragmatic in execution. In late 1476, Ottoman forces advanced once more, accompanied by Wallachian rivals seeking to exploit internal divisions. Vlad confronted them near familiar terrain, forests, rivers, and mountains he had used repeatedly to advantage. Despite limited manpower, he fought at the front, commanding with a combination of ferocity, knowledge of terrain, and tactical acumen. The battle was chaotic, reflecting both the unpredictability of medieval warfare and the challenges of commanding troops against numerically superior forces. Accounts suggest that Vlad was ultimately isolated in battle. Separated from his forces, he fought until overwhelmed. The precise circumstances of his death are disputed, whether by Ottoman blades, treacherous boyars, or confusion in the chaos. But the outcome was the same: the fall of a prince whose reputation and strategic genius had defined Wallachia for decades. His head was sent to Constantinople, preserving a grim testament to his life's defiance. His body was interred in a location whose precise coordinates remain debated. Vlad's final reign, brief yet intense, epitomized the paradoxes of his life. A ruler capable of inspiring both fear and loyalty, combining governance, terror, and strategy into a single, coherent exercise of power. His reforms, military campaigns, and psychological warfare left an enduring imprint on Wallachia. Though he perished, his legend persisted, amplified by tales of cruelty, heroism, and defiance that spread throughout Europe and the Ottoman Empire alike. Posthumously, Vlad's legacy evolved into a complex tapestry. German and Saxon pamphlets emphasized brutality, while Romanian oral tradition emphasized justice and resistance. Bram Stoker, centuries later, would fuse elements of Vlad's life into the fictional Dracula, cementing a mythos that transcended history. Yet beyond legend, the historical Vlad III remained a figure of strategy, governance, and psychological mastery. A ruler whose actions were shaped by the imperatives of survival and sovereignty in a fractious, violent age. Chapter 4 closes with Vlad's final triumph and defeat entwined. He reclaimed Wallachia, defended it against the greatest empire of his era, imposed a system of law through fear, and demonstrated strategic ingenuity that few contemporaries could match. Yet even the most formidable ruler is vulnerable to the convergence of external pressure, internal betrayal, and the unpredictability of war. Vlad's life, reigns, and death illustrate the complexities of leadership in a frontier principality under siege, and set the stage for centuries of legend, interpretation, and fascination. The death of Vlad III in 1476 marked the end of a life defined by struggle, warfare, and the unyielding assertion of authority. Yet, paradoxically, it was only the beginning of a legend that would transcend Wallachia, the Balkans, and even the centuries themselves. Vlad's legacy cannot be measured solely in political or military terms. It is a complex intertwining of fear, admiration, folklore, and historical memory. The landscape of Wallachia itself Scarred by repeated campaigns, fortified by his efforts, and haunted by tales of impalement, became a living monument to his reign. Contemporaneous chronicles reveal the duality of perception surrounding Vlad. Saxon merchants and German pamphleteers portrayed him as a tyrant of unmatched cruelty, emphasizing the spectacle of mass executions and impalements. These accounts, while partly exaggerated, reflected genuine fear among communities affected by Vlad's military campaigns and enforcement of law. Yet even within these accounts, a grudging respect emerges for his intelligence, military acumen, and ability to maintain authority in a volatile, fractious principality. Vlad's reputation as a ruler who combined ruthlessness with strategic insight was established early and became inseparable from his name. In contrast, Romanian oral tradition presented a markedly different image. Vlad was remembered as a defender of Wallachian autonomy against foreign invaders, particularly the Ottomans. Folk tales emphasized justice and loyalty rather than sheer terror, portraying him as a champion of the people and a guardian of the land. These stories often highlighted his cunning, moral rigor, and the restoration of order, suggesting that his cruelty was directed exclusively at the disloyal or corrupt. In this sense, Vlad's legacy was preserved not merely as a ruler, but as a symbol of national resistance and sovereignty, a narrative that would endure in the collective memory of his countrymen. Strategically, Vlad's campaigns against the Ottomans and rival boyars left a lasting imprint on military history. His use of psychological warfare, environmental strategy, and scorched earth tactics demonstrated an advanced understanding of asymmetric combat. Ambushes, night attacks, and rapid raids became hallmarks of his approach, with consequences extending far beyond immediate military gains. Ottoman records recount the shock and fear instilled by Vlad's methods, particularly the spectacle of impaled prisoners, which forced retreats without the necessity of direct engagement. Modern military historians often cite these strategies as early examples of psychological and guerrilla warfare in a European context. Architecturally and politically, Vlad's investment in fortifications had enduring significance. Castles like Poenari became symbols of authority and strategic control, demonstrating an integration of natural geography with human engineering. These fortifications were more than defensive structures. They were tools of governance and deterrence, ensuring that rebel boyars or invading forces faced not only armed resistance, but also psychological intimidation. Even centuries later, the ruins of these fortresses stand as reminders of the blend of pragmatism and symbolism that defined Vlad's approach to rule. Vlad's legacy also shaped the geopolitical dynamics of Eastern Europe. His resistance against the Ottoman Empire provided a model of principled defiance, inspiring contemporaneous and later rulers in the region. Hungary, Moldavia, and neighboring principalities observed his campaigns with a mixture of fear, admiration, and caution, recognizing the potential of determined leadership in a fragmented political landscape. His life illustrated the delicate balance between submission, rebellion, and diplomacy required of small states positioned between powerful empires, a lesson that reverberated long after his death. The Forest of the Impaled, a symbol of Vlad's most notorious punishments, evolved into a cultural touchstone. While horrifying to outsiders, within Wallachia, it conveyed a clear message. Lawlessness, betrayal, and disloyalty would meet with absolute consequences. The psychological impact of such displays extended beyond immediate victims. Neighboring regions learned of his severity, influencing the behavior of local rulers and invaders alike. Modern historians debate the morality of these actions, yet few dispute their effectiveness as instruments of statecraft and deterrence in the medieval context. Across Western Europe, Vlad's reputation was amplified by printed pamphlets, letters, and oral reports. These often sensationalized his cruelty, sometimes portraying him as a monstrous figure devoid of reason or governance. The exaggeration was not entirely false, but emphasized aspects of his rule designed to instill terror, neglecting the political and administrative sophistication underlying his actions. The resulting narrative, conflating Vlad the Prince with Vlad the Monster, laid the groundwork for the eventual transformation of his persona into a broader mythos, one that would later inspire Gothic literature and the archetype of the vampire in European imagination. Centuries later, Bram Stoker's Dracula cemented this mythical interpretation. While the novel's vampire was a fictional creation, Stoker drew inspiration from historical accounts of Vlad's life, particularly his reputation for cruelty and defiance against the Ottomans. The association of Vlad III with vampirism, though largely symbolic, introduced him into global consciousness, intertwining historical fact with literary fiction. In doing so, Vlad became not merely a historical figure, but a cultural icon, simultaneously feared, romanticized, and mythologized across Europe and eventually worldwide. Vlad's influence extended beyond legend. His governance strategies, military tactics, and emphasis on centralized authority influenced subsequent Wallachian rulers. Policies regarding taxation, fortifications, and the suppression of internal dissent became templates for maintaining authority in a region prone to both external invasions and internal factionalism. The memory of his reign served as a benchmark. Rulers measured both their ambition and effectiveness against the bar set by Vlad III, blending admiration and fear in equal measure. Culturally, Vlad's legacy permeates Romanian identity. Festivals, historical reenactments, and scholarly studies preserve the memory of his reign. Folk songs, storytelling, and literature celebrate both his military prowess and his commitment to justice, even as the more brutal aspects of his rule are acknowledged. This duality, heroism intertwined with terror, offers a nuanced perspective, reflecting the complexity of historical memory where fact, interpretation, and legend coexist. Historiographically, Vlad III remains a subject of debate. Scholars examine his life through the lenses of military strategy, governance, psychological warfare, and cultural memory. Differing accounts, often contradictory, challenge historians to separate exaggeration from reality. Yet even in these debates, a consensus emerges. Vlad was an exceptional figure for his time, a prince whose actions, whether praised or condemned, demonstrated an acute understanding of power, human behavior, and survival in a volatile political environment. In modern Romania, Vlad is both historical figure and national symbol. Schools, museums, and historical societies teach his life as a case study in leadership, resistance, and the moral ambiguities of rule. Public monuments, scholarly works, and popular culture reinforce his dual legacy. A defender of Wallachian sovereignty and a figure whose methods challenge contemporary ethical norms. This enduring presence in education and culture reflects the profound impact of his life on the national consciousness. Artistic representations of Vlad III range from realistic portrayals emphasizing his princely authority to imaginative depictions, highlighting terror and supernatural associations. Paintings, sculptures, and literature capture both facets of his character, creating a composite image that spans history and myth. The tension between historical accuracy and dramatic representation illustrates the broader challenges of understanding figures whose deeds are extraordinary, morally complex, and culturally resonant. Ultimately, Vlad's legacy resides at the intersection of history and myth. He exemplifies the complexities of leadership under existential threat, the interplay between fear and respect, and the enduring power of reputation. Wallachia, its fortresses, and its chronicles testify to his strategic genius, his administrative rigor, and his ability to command both loyalty and terror. Meanwhile, European folklore, literature, and popular culture amplify his memory, transforming a historical prince into a symbol whose resonance exceeds time and geography. The myth of Vlad III, Dracula, the Impaler, the Prince of Wallachia, serves multiple purposes. It educates, warns, inspires, and fascinates. For historians, it is a lens through which to explore political authority, military strategy, and psychological control. For the public, it is a story of courage, cruelty, and the fine line separating justice from terror. In every retelling, Vlad's life prompts reflection on the nature of power, the cost of sovereignty, and the enduring interplay between reality and legend. In the final analysis, Vlad III's life and afterlife demonstrate that history is rarely a simple record of events. It is shaped by memory, interpretation, exaggeration, and cultural transmission. Vlad's actions, whether brutal, strategic, or just, became amplified through retelling, merging fact and fiction into a legacy that continues to captivate scholars, storytellers, and the public alike. His reign may have ended on the battlefield, but his presence endures. Etched into the terrain he defended, the chronicles that recorded his deeds, and the myths that immortalized him. Vlad's life, death, and myth are inseparable. His enduring influence demonstrates the power of narrative, the weight of historical memory, and the capacity of a single figure to shape both history and imagination. Vlad III's story is a testament to the complexities of leadership, the interplay of fear and respect, and the human fascination with figures who defy simple categorization. The Prince of Wallachia remains, in history and legend, a force whose shadow stretches far beyond the confines of time and geography. Thank you for exploring Vlad III's story with me. If you found this journey through history and legend compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of figures who shaped the world in unforgettable ways. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode where we uncover the stories behind history's most fascinating personalities, from rulers and warriors to thinkers and revolutionaries. Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you view Vlad's legacy? Was he a ruthless tyrant, a strategic leader, or something more complex? And if you're hungry for more, check out the links to related videos and resources where we explore the myths, politics, and lasting influence of historical figures who continue to captivate our imagination. History isn't just about the past. It's a lens to understand the present. And together, we can keep these stories alive.